Returning from vacation, I opened the door to my bedroom and froze. My in-law was sprawled on my bed, wearing my glasses as if it were his throne. My daughter-in-law, who always seemed grateful, coldly advised, "He needs space, so you move to the basement." The betrayal stung sharper than a knife. I made one phone call, and within minutes they received an ultimatum. "Leave the house. You have 24 hours." Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. My hand found the doorknob to my bedroom, turned it. The television blared from inside, volume cranked higher than I ever kept it. A stranger's voice, gravelly and annoyed, muttered something about commercials. I pushed the door open. A man sprawled across my bed, remote control resting on his stomach, bare feet propped on my pillows. Gray hair, thick neck, approximately my age. He wore my reading glasses, the ones I'd left on the nightstand 2 weeks ago. He didn't look at me, didn't acknowledge me standing in my own doorway, luggage still in hand downstairs where I'd dropped it after noticing the unfamiliar car in my driveway. "Excuse me," I said. He clicked the remote, changed channels, adjusted the pillows behind his head. I walked to my bathroom. The door stood open. An electric razor sat beside my sink. Not mine. A toothbrush, bright blue, worn bristles, rested in my glass, the one I'd used for 15 years. Shaving cream, deodorant, prescription bottles with someone else's name lined my counter. "Della!" My voice came out tight, controlled. I walked downstairs, gripping the banister. She stood in my kitchen, chopping vegetables at the counter. The radio played softly. She hummed along. "Della, there's a man in my bedroom." "That's Dad." She didn't look up. The knife continued its rhythmic thunking against the cutting board. "He moved in last week." "Moved in? Nobody asked me. You were gone." She scraped celery into a bowl. "Dad needed a place." I stood there, watching her wipe her hands on a dish towel, the casual way she turned, finally meeting my eyes. No apology, no explanation beyond the bare facts. "He needs the master suite, you understand." "I understand. This is my house." She sighed, set down the towel. "Then take the basement. Dad needs space. His back. He can't handle stairs well." "The basement? In my own home?" "After everything with Roy, you owe me that much." The words hit like a fist. Roy, my son, dead 3 years now. She knew exactly what she was doing, weaponizing his memory. I clenched my jaw, felt my molars grind together. My hands formed fists at my sides. "We'll discuss this." Nothing to discuss. She picked up the knife again. "It's decided." I walked away, down the hall to my home office, the one room that still felt like mine. I closed the door, leaned against it. The property deed sat in my filing cabinet exactly where I'd left it. I pulled it out, spread it across my desk. My name, Calvin James Wallace. My address, my house. Purchased 23 years ago, paid off 12 years ago, mine. Behind the closed door, I heard Stuart's heavy footsteps on the stairs, the refrigerator opening, ice clinking into a glass. My whiskey bottle being unscrewed, I recognized the sound of that particular cap, the creak of my leather recliner as he settled into it. Della had lived here 5 years, month to month. $300? I'd offered it after Roy died, when she said she couldn't afford her apartment anymore. Temporary, she'd promised, just until she got back on her feet. 5 years of temporary. I sat at my desk, pulled out my phone, scrolled through contacts until I found the name I needed. Martin Cho, property attorney. My finger hovered over the call button. From the living room, Stuart's voice boomed at the television. A beer can cracked open. My beer, from my refrigerator. Della laughed at something he said. In my kitchen. In my house. I pressed the button. The phone rang twice. "Calvin? It's been a while. What can I do for you?" Martin's voice, professional and familiar. I'd used him for the property purchase, for the refinancing. He knew the house's history. "I need a termination notice sent tonight. Tenant in my home." "How long have they been there?" 5 years, month to month. $300 a month. Papers rustled on his end. "And they're refusing to leave?" "They're refusing to acknowledge I own the house." I looked at the deed spread before me. Her father moved into my master bedroom while I was traveling. She told me to take the basement. Silence. Then Martin's careful, measured response. "Oregon law is clear. Month-to-month tenancy requires 30 days' notice without cause. I can have documentation to them within the hour. Email and text. Do it. You understand they might contest this. Let them try. I forwarded Della's contact information. Martin confirmed receipt. Promised the notice before I finished dinner. I thanked him, ended the call. Set the phone on my desk beside the deed. 47 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Martin's text. Notice sent. Check your email for copy. From the kitchen, Della's phone chimed. Once, twice. I heard her pick it up, the silence as she read. Then her footsteps, quick and hard across the hardwood floor. She didn't knock. What is this? She waved her phone at me. Screen glowing with Martin's formal letter. Legal notice. 30 days to vacate. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. After everything I've done? Everything, Roy. Don't. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. This isn't about Roy. Her face flushed. You told me I could stay here as long as I needed. I told you that 5 years ago. Things change. I've put money into this house. $15,000 in repairs. You've paid $300 a month. I have the records. I opened my desk drawer, pulled out the rental ledger. 5 years of payments, documented and deposited. Market rate for this house would be $1,800 monthly. You've paid a fraction. Stuart appeared behind her in the doorway, still wearing my bathrobe. I noticed that now. Navy blue terry cloth, the one my sister gave me for Christmas. You're making a mistake, Wallace. The mistake was allowing this situation to begin with. You think some lawyer letter scares me? He stepped into my office, uninvited. Della moved aside. He was bigger than me, broader through the shoulders, younger by maybe 5 years. Former construction worker, Della had mentioned once. His hands looked like they'd swung hammers for decades. I think you have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. I stood up, claimed my own space behind my own desk. Or what? You'll call the police? If necessary. This is my house. Leave my office. Stuart leaned forward, palms flat on my desk. You sure you want to do this? Old man living alone? Accidents happen. Is that a threat? Just pointing out facts. And threats are documented. I'm documenting everything now. I picked up my phone, opened the camera, clicked. His face, his hands on my desk. The bathrobe that wasn't his. Everything! He straightened, smiled without warmth. You do that. Won't change anything. Della grabbed his arm. Come on, Dad. You'll regret this, she said from the doorway. Everyone will know how you treat family. You're not family anymore. You're a tenant who's been given notice. Roy would be ashamed of you. Roy would be ashamed of what you've become. Get out of my office. The door slammed. I heard them in the living room, voices low and angry, planning, strategizing. I didn't care. I walked upstairs to my bedroom, Stuart's bedroom now, temporarily, photographed his clothes in my closet, his shoes lined up where mine used to be, the prescription bottles on my bathroom counter, each item, each invasion time-stamped and saved. Back in my office, I created a new folder on my computer, eviction documentation, uploaded the photos, printed a second copy of the property deed for my records, made notes, June 15th, 2025, 7:43 p.m., termination notice sent, deadline, July 15th, 2025, Stuart's threat documented. That night, I slept in the guest bedroom, my own guest bedroom, in my own house. Through the wall, I heard Stuart's television, the volume excessive and deliberate. Della's voice, sharp and insistent. They thought this was negotiable. Thought I'd back down like I had before, all those times I'd been too accommodating, too understanding. I set my phone's alarm for 6 in the morning. There was more to document, more evidence to gather. 30 days seemed like a long time. It wasn't. It was preparation time. The guest bedroom alarm woke me at 6. I'd barely slept. Stuart's television had played until past 2. Volume deliberate. I reached for my phone on the nightstand. The screen still showed last night's photographs. His razor, his toiletries, evidence. I gathered my things and headed to the guest bathroom. Down the hall, I heard water running in my master bathroom. Stuart, using my shower, my soap, my towels. I didn't knock, didn't confront him. Documenting was more useful than arguing. In the kitchen, Della stood at the counter pouring coffee. She glanced up as I entered. Did you have a chance to look at housing options? She laughed. Actually laughed. Housing options? Calvin, I'm not going anywhere. The notice was serious. 30 days. That was just a lawyer letter. She turned back to her coffee. It doesn't mean anything. It means exactly what it says. We'll see about that. I grabbed my travel mug and left. The library opened at 9. I could work there. Over the next several days, Stewart refined his harassment. Night 3, music started at 11:30. Heavy bass that rattled the guest bedroom walls. I knocked on the master bedroom door past midnight. "Stewart, it's late." He opened the door halfway. The music blared behind him. "What's the problem?" "The music. Turn it down." "I'm in my room. I can do what I want. This is my house. Show some respect." He grinned. "Your house?" "Della says she owns half of it." The door closed. The music got louder. I went downstairs, documented the time. 12:17 a.m., master bedroom, excessive noise. Took a video showing the timestamp and volume, added it to the growing file. Day 6 brought the parking incident. I came home to find Stewart's truck blocking my garage door. He sat on the porch steps, smoking. "Stewart, you're blocking my garage. No room on the street. This is my driveway. Move your truck. Make me." I raised my phone, clicked. His face, the truck, my blocked garage, all captured with date and time. "I'm documenting this." "Take all the pictures you want, old man. Won't change a thing. We'll see." He moved the truck 20 minutes later. I logged it. Day 6, 4:35 p.m. Driveway blocked. Confrontation. Vehicle moved after photograph. Martin called midweek. I'd been expecting it. "How are things at the house?" "Getting worse. Harassment, basically." "Document everything. Photos, times, descriptions." "Already doing that. I've got 40 incidents logged." "Good. That shows pattern of behavior. Keep it up." "How long until we can move forward?" "If she refuses to vacate by the deadline, we file immediately." I stayed late at coffee shops, worked from the library, ate dinner at a diner 3 blocks away. They were trying to make me leave my own house. I recognized the tactic, but refused to give them satisfaction. Day 8, I heard Della talking to a neighbor on the front lawn, loud enough for me to hear through the open window. "After all I've done for this house." "What do you mean?" Mrs. Chen from next door, curious. "I've paid for repairs, improvements, thousands of dollars." I stepped outside. "That's not true." Della turned to Mrs. Chen. "See how he treats family? After everything with Roy." I walked away, made a note. False statements to neighbors, claiming financial contributions to property. Witnesses present. June 25th arrived. 10 days since the notice. I checked my email that evening and found it. Subject line: Re-termination. Notice. Official response. I opened it. Read each fabricated claim. Oral agreement for lifetime residency. Significant financial contributions totaling over $15,000. Legal right to remain based on established tenancy and improvements made. Complete lies. I forwarded it to Martin immediately with a note. As expected, he called within the hour. "I got the forwarded email. This is good for us." "Good?" "She's making up complete lies." "Which we can disprove. Bank records, canceled checks, property deed." "So what's next?" "File for eviction. Can you come to my office Friday?" "I'll be there." Stewart confronted me that same evening. Found me in my office, reviewing the documentation spreadsheet. 43 incidents. 67 photographs. Every email exchange. "What's with all the pictures?" "Documenting damage and violations." "That's harassment. I could report you." "Report me for photographing my own property." He stepped closer to my desk. "You're making this personal." I didn't back down. "You made it personal when you moved into my bedroom." "Careful, Wallace." I raised my phone between us. "Say that again. On camera this time." He walked away, muttering something I didn't catch. I added the incident to my log. Verbal threat, attempted intimidation, withdrew when recording began. The next 2 evenings, I organized everything. Created a timeline, cross-referenced with bank statements. Property taxes I'd paid alone. Utilities in my name. The mortgage I'd paid for 23 years. 3 file folders by Thursday night. Everything I needed to prove what was already obvious. I sat in my home office, the only space still mine, and reviewed the calendar. Friday, June 28th. The meeting that would start the formal process. Martin's office opened at 9. I planned to be there early. The downtown parking garage was half empty at 8:40. I pulled into a spot on the 3rd level, gathered the file folders from the passenger seat. My hand touched the property deed on top. Solid. Real. Mine. Martin's office occupied the third floor of a modest professional building. Glass door, clean lettering. Martin Cho, Property Law. The receptionist looked up as I entered. "Mr. Wallace? Martin's expecting you. Go right in." Martin stood as I entered, extended his hand. Professional space, not luxury. Practical furniture, law books lining one wall, windows overlooking the street below. "Calvin, good to see you. Coffee?" "Please, black." We settled at his conference table. I spread the 3 folders across the surface. Property documents, rent records, incident logs. Martin pulled the property deed toward him first. "Let's start with ownership." He examined it carefully. 1987 purchase date. Mortgage satisfied 2013. My name alone on the title. No ambiguity. "And the rental arrangement?" "Month to month from the beginning." I opened the second folder. 5 years of rent checks. 300 monthly. No written lease beyond the amount. That actually helps us. No lease means easier termination process. He pulled out the incident log, scanned the entries. 43 documented violations. Noise complaints, property damage, harassment, all photographed and time-stamped. He reached the email from Della, read it slowly, made notes in the margin. Lifetime residency agreement. She's claiming this? Complete fabrication. No such agreement exists. "Do you have anything in writing that could be misconstrued?" "Nothing. I offered temporary housing after my son died. She's been here 5 years. That's all." Martin nodded, opened his laptop. "Here's what happens next. We file a complaint for possession with the court. How long does that take?" "Filing is today. Hearing will be scheduled 3 weeks out, roughly." "And if the judge rules in my favor?" "She's ordered to vacate immediately. If she doesn't, sheriff enforces it." "Good." He turned the laptop screen toward me. "Legal form, partially completed. I need to be transparent about costs. Court filing is $283. And your fee?" $3,200 retainer. Covers preparation, hearing, follow-up correspondence. So $3,500 total to start? Essentially, yes. Could be more if she contests aggressively, but unlikely given these facts. I thought about the numbers. 5 years at $300 monthly. 18,000 total. Market rate would have been 2,400 monthly. 144,000. I'd lost over 125,000 in potential rental income. 3,500 to reclaim my house seemed reasonable. "Let's do it," Martin typed while I provided information. Names, dates, addresses. He printed the draft complaint, passed it across the table. I reviewed each line. Plaintiff, Calvin James Wallace. Defendant, Della Wallace. Additional occupant, Stuart Morrison. Grounds, termination of month-to-month tenancy, refusal to vacate after proper notice. "Sign here, initial here and here." I signed. Martin witnessed it. "This authorizes me to represent you and file on your behalf." "When does she get served?" "Sheriff will serve her within 3 to 5 days." I pulled my checkbook from my jacket pocket. Wrote carefully, $3,483. Signed it, tore it out, handed it across. "Worth every penny to get my house back." Martin wrote a receipt on firm letterhead. We both signed a retainer agreement. He logged into the Oregon e-filing system while I watched. Uploaded scanned documents. Entered case information. Submitted. A confirmation number appeared on screen. "Done. She'll be served soon." He printed the confirmation page, added it to my copy of the file. "When she's served, she'll probably contact you. And I should refer her to me. Don't discuss the case. Don't negotiate." "What if she offers to leave voluntarily now?" "Too late. We're in the court system. Let the process work." I left his office at 10:30, drove home through morning traffic. The meeting had taken 90 minutes, changed everything. That afternoon, I sat in my home office reviewing the filed complaint when a sheriff's vehicle pulled into the driveway. I watched from the window as a deputy in uniform approached the front door. Knocked. Della answered. "Della Wallace?" "Yes? What is this?" "Summons and complaint. Eviction proceeding. You're required to respond." She took the papers, stared at them. "Wait, what? I don't—" "Information is in the documents. Have a good day." The deputy left. Della stood in the doorway, opened the envelope. Her face changed as she read. Shock, then something closer to panic. She called for Stuart. 5 minutes later, hard knocking on my office door. "Calvin, Calvin, open this door. I opened it. She waved the papers at me. What is this? A lawsuit? Eviction proceeding. You refuse to leave. I thought you were bluffing. I wasn't. I'm not. You have a hearing date? July 18th. Her voice rose. Where am I supposed to go? You're just throwing us out. You had 30 days' notice. You refused. We can talk about this. We can work something out. No, we can't. All communication goes through my attorney now. Calvin, please. Martin Cho. His contact information is on the complaint. I closed the door, locked it. I heard her standing there, breathing hard, then footsteps retreating. That evening, through the walls, I heard Della on the phone. Need help with an eviction case? Pause. No, I'm the tenant. He's the landlord. Another pause, longer. But I have rights. I've lived here 5 years. Her voice grew frustrated. How much? That's your lowest rate? Silence. I'll call you back. Stewart tried his intimidation routine later, found me in the kitchen making tea. You made a big mistake, Wallace. The only mistake was letting you move in. You think some judge is going to side with you? Yes, I own the house. You're trespassing. Pretty simple. Nothing's simple. You'll see. July 18th, courthouse. Be there. He walked away, less confident than before. The summons had made it real. The next several days brought strange quiet. Stewart stopped the late-night music. Della no longer slammed doors. They kept to themselves. Voices low behind closed doors. Planning something, probably. Looking for lawyers. Researching tenant defenses that didn't apply. I maintained my documentation routine, though there was less to document now. The calendar on my desk showed July 18th, circled in red, 20 days away, both sides counting down. Early July brought a false calm. The house felt suspended, everyone waiting for the 18th. I reviewed my evidence each morning, the property deed, 5 years of rent deposits, contractor invoices proving every repair came from my accounts. The case seemed straightforward. Tenant refuses to leave. Landlord goes to court. Simple. The envelope arrived July 3rd. Official court letterhead thicker than expected. I opened it standing at my kitchen table. Counterclaim. Della had filed a counterclaim. I read the first page twice. Defendant asserts plaintiff promised her lifetime residency in the family home following the death of Roy Wallace. My hands tightened on the paper. Defendant paid approximately $15,000 for property improvements and repairs. Complete fiction. Every word. I grabbed my phone, dialed Martin's number. Martin, I just received something from the court. Della filed a counterclaim. That's not unexpected. What's she claiming? That I promised her the house. That she paid $15,000 for repairs. Both false, I assume. Completely false. Every repair came from my accounts. Then we prove it. I need bank statements, contractor invoices, everything. I spent that afternoon in my home office pulling files from cabinets. Bank statements going back 7 years. Every credit card statement showing home improvement charges. I found the contractor invoice for the roof repair in 2022. $4,800. My check number right there. The water heater replacement, $2,200. My credit card. New windows, $6,300. Kitchen appliances, $1,800. Every single expense, all mine. I photographed each document, created a spreadsheet, cross-referenced dates with my records of Della's rent payments. She'd paid $300 monthly for 60 months, $18,000 total, not a penny more. And she was claiming $15,000 in improvements? Martin called back that evening after reviewing my scanned documents. This is good for us. Her claims are provably false. Will it work, the counterclaim? Not if we have documentation. Do you have proof of payments? Years of bank statements. Every contractor was paid by my checks. Perfect. We'll attach those to our response. Her claims will fall apart. What about the judge? What if the judge will see bank records? Numbers don't lie. Still, something shifted in me. I'd assumed truth was enough. Now I understood I'd need to actively disprove lies, not just assert facts. The burden had moved. By the end of the week, Martin filed our response. Point-by-point refutation. Her claim of $15,000 in improvements. My bank statements showing I paid. Her claim of an oral agreement about the house. No written evidence, no witnesses, just her word against mine and my property deed. Della became more visible after filing her counterclaim. More confident. She'd walk through the house, making comments just loud enough for me to hear. Glenn says we have a strong case. Stewart would respond from whatever room he occupied. About time someone stood up to him. The house should have been mine after Roy died. Everyone knows that. I said nothing, documented everything, added each comment to my incident log with timestamps. One evening, she confronted me directly in the hallway. Your counterclaim is fiction. It's the truth. You know what you promised. I promised you affordable rent, nothing more. Roy would have wanted me to have this house. That stopped me. Don't use my son to justify your lies. The judge will decide who's lying. She walked away. I added it to my log. July 6th, 7:15 p.m. Direct confrontation. Exploitation of Roy's memory for legal advantage. Stewart grew bolder, too. Found me in the kitchen one evening. Heard you're scrambling for paperwork. I'm organizing documentation. Della's got her side of the story. Court might believe her. Court will believe bank records and property deeds. We'll see about that, old man. Yes, we will, in 12 days. Martin called July 7th with his final assessment. Her attorney is bottom tier, but he's created complications. Meaning, the hearing will take longer. More questions. More testimony. I can handle that. They'll attack your credibility, question your motives. My motives are simple. It's my house. They refuse to leave. Stay calm on the stand. Let the evidence speak. I spent the next evenings organizing everything into 3 binders. Evidence of ownership, evidence of rent payments, evidence disproving her claims. Each section tabbed and highlighted. Martin called it airtight. But that Thursday night, July 10th, I heard bottles clinking upstairs. Stewart's voice loud and getting louder. I checked the time. After 10. The television volume increased. Della's voice trying to quiet him. Something was building. I could feel it in the walls. I locked my office door before heading to the guest room. The calendar showed the 18th circled in red. 8 more days. The house felt coiled, waiting for something to snap. Thursday night, July 10th. I sat in my office past 10, organizing documents I'd already organized twice. Downstairs, Stewart's television blared. Some action movie with explosions and shouting. I heard bottles, more than one. His voice rose periodically, angry at the screen or at Della or at the situation. Hard to tell. Around 10:20, I needed water. Couldn't avoid it forever. I opened my office door, listened. The TV continued. Heavy breathing from the living room. I walked down the hallway toward the stairs. Stewart stood at the bottom, waiting. Where are you going, Wallace? To the kitchen, excuse me. He blocked the stairs, red-faced, swaying slightly. 3 empty bottles visible on the coffee table behind him. We need to talk. Not tonight? You've been drinking. I'm fine. You're the problem. I stopped 3 steps up, maintained the distance. Move aside, Stewart. Make me, old man. Della appeared from the kitchen. Dad, leave him alone. Stay out of this. Stewart didn't look at her, kept his eyes on me. You're destroying our lives with your lawsuit. You refuse to leave. This is the consequence. Della's got rights. She lived here for years. As a tenant, for $300 a month. He started up the stairs. I backed up to the landing. Your son would be ashamed of you. Don't talk about Roy. Truth hurts, doesn't it? He reached the landing, close enough that I smelled the whiskey. Throwing out your own family. I'm not doing this tonight. Let me pass. He stepped directly in front of me. You're not going anywhere until you listen. Step back, now. Or what? His hands came up fast. 2-handed shove, hard against my chest. I stumbled backward, hit the wall, felt the impact through my shoulders. My phone slipped from my pocket, clattered on the floor. That's assault, Stewart advanced. Drop the lawsuit, or it gets worse. I moved sideways, grabbed my phone, back toward my office. Stay away from me. You hear me, old man? Drop it. I reached my office, got inside, slammed the door, locked it. My chest ached where he'd pushed me. I could hear him breathing on the other side. Calvin! Della's voice, urgent. Dad, stop it! I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. Dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? I've been assaulted in my home. I need police. Are you injured? Is the attacker still present? I'm okay. He's outside the door. Intoxicated, making threats. Address? I gave it. Heard Stewart pounding on the office door. He pushed me and threatened me. I'm locked in my office. Officers are on the way. Stay on the line with me. Stewart's voice came through the door. You calling the cops? That's how you want to play this? Della. Dad, please, come downstairs. Let him call them. Let them come see how he treats us. I stayed on the line with the operator, listening to Stewart's footsteps finally retreat down the hallway. Della's voice followed him, pleading. My chest burned. I pulled up my shirt, looked at the mirror. Red mark, center of my sternum, starting to darken. The operator kept talking, kept me connected. 15 minutes felt like an hour. Finally, officers are pulling up now. I heard the knock. Official. Firm. Portland Police, we received a call. Della opened the door. I heard voices, professional questions. I unlocked my office, waited. A female officer appeared at my door. 30s, dark hair pulled back. Name tag, Torres. Mr. Wallace, I'm Officer Torres. You called 911? Stewart Turner. He's been drinking. Confronted me in the hallway. Pushed me. May I come in? I stepped aside. She entered, closed the door partially, pulled out a notepad. Can you tell me what happened? I walked her through it, chronologically. Stewart drinking all evening, blocking my path. The threats. The push. She took notes, asked clarifying questions. Did he make physical contact? Pushed me. Hard. Here. I indicated my chest. May I see? I lifted my shirt. The red mark had darkened. She took photos with her phone. Any other injuries? No. I called immediately. Good. Wait here. She left the office. I heard her speaking with Stewart and Della separately. Stewart's voice defensive. Della trying to explain. Torres's voice remained level, professional, cutting through excuses. 20 minutes later, Torres returned. I've issued Mr. Turner a formal warning for assault. You're not arresting him? Not tonight. But this goes on record. Any repeat, and he will be arrested. She handed me a card. Report numbers on the back. You can file for a restraining order. Is that necessary? Given the situation, eviction case, escalating behavior, I'd recommend it. How do I do that? Courthouse, tomorrow. Bring this report number. You'll get a temporary order quickly. She gave me an information sheet, warned Stewart to stay away from me, warned all of us to avoid contact, left after ensuring the immediate threat had passed. I remained in my office, heard Stewart go upstairs, door slam, Della moving around downstairs, cleaning up bottles. The house settled into hostile silence. Friday morning, I called Martin before 8. Stewart assaulted me last night. Police came. Are you hurt? Bruised. I'm fine. Officer suggested restraining order. Absolutely. We're filing today. This actually helps our case. We went to the courthouse that morning, filed a petition for temporary restraining order, attached the police report, photos of the mark on my chest. The clerk said a judge would review it quickly. Tuesday afternoon, July 14th, the sheriff served Stewart with the restraining order. I watched from my office window. Stewart read the document on the front porch. 150 feet. In practical terms, he couldn't enter the same room as me, couldn't speak to me, couldn't approach me. Della stood beside him, reading over his shoulder. She said something I couldn't hear. Stewart crumpled the paper, walked back inside, straight to the master bedroom, my bedroom, for 4 more days. The hearing was Friday. I had the police report, the restraining order, 5 years of documentation. Stewart had an assault warning and Della's false counterclaim. 4 days until a judge decided who stayed and who left. I woke at 6, though I'd barely slept. July 18th, hearing day. I stood before the bathroom mirror and ran the razor over my face with a steady hand. I didn't quite feel. Selected a tie from my closet, dark blue, conservative. Pressed slacks. Button-down shirt, not a suit, but professional. Serious. The evidence binders sat on my desk where I'd left them. I didn't open them. Had reviewed everything twice already. Property deed, bank statements, contractor invoices, police report. Everything organized, tabbed, highlighted. Martin said to trust the documentation. I did. I left the house before 7, before Della and Stewart stirred. Didn't want that final morning encounter. Downtown Portland traffic moved slowly. I found street parking 3 blocks from the courthouse. Fed the meter for 4 hours. Carried the evidence binder under my arm, walking past morning commuters who had normal Friday plans. Security checkpoint. Pockets emptied, belt removed. Walked through the metal detector. Slight beep. Security wanted me. Found nothing. I collected my belongings and took the elevator to the third floor. Martin waited outside courtroom 4C, reviewing documents on a bench. He stood when he saw me, extended his hand. Ready? As I'll ever be. Remember, answer only what's asked. Don't elaborate. I understand. Ryder will try to make you seem cruel. Don't defend yourself emotionally. Stick to facts. Exactly. The evidence speaks for itself. Down the hall, Della emerged from the elevator with Stewart and a man I didn't recognize. Glenn Ryder, presumably. Budget suit, worn briefcase. Della's eyes were red. Stewart glared but maintained distance. The restraining order created invisible walls between us. The bailiff opened the courtroom doors at 9:30. We filed in. Calvin and Martin at the plaintiff's table on the right. Della, Stewart, and Ryder on the left. The room was smaller than I'd imagined. No jury box, no gallery full of observers. Just the judge's bench, 2 tables, a court reporter's station. All rise. The Multnomah County Circuit Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Patricia Henderson presiding. Judge Henderson entered through a side door. Middle-aged woman, gray-streaked hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain. She settled behind the bench, gestured for us to sit. Case number 25, CV 2847, Wallace v. Turner. Counselors, are both parties ready to proceed? Ready, Your Honor, Martin's voice confident. Ready, Your Honor. Ryder sounded less certain. Martin stood. Your Honor, this is a straightforward eviction case. Mr. Wallace owns the property at 4267 Southeast Morrison Street, has owned it since 1987. Ms. Turner resided there as a month-to-month tenant for 5 years at $300 monthly. Mr. Wallace provided proper 30-day notice to terminate tenancy on June 15th. Ms. Turner refused to vacate. We're here to enforce his property rights. Ryder stood next. Your Honor, this case involves more than property law. Ms. Turner is the widow of Mr. Wallace's late son. Mr. Wallace promised her security after her devastating loss. She contributed substantially to the property's maintenance. Evicting her violates fundamental principles of fairness and family obligation. Judge Henderson made notes, then looked up. Let's see the evidence. Mr. Cho? Martin approached with our binders, handed copies to the judge and Ryder, returned to the table and began the methodical presentation. Property deed, Calvin James Wallace, sole owner. Bank statements showing mortgage paid, taxes paid, utilities paid. Rent deposit records, 60 months at $300, $18,000 total. Contractor invoices, roof repair, water heater, windows, all showing Calvin as client and payer. Your Honor, we also submit the 30-day termination notice, properly served June 15th, Ms. Turner's written refusal, and recent documentation, police report from July 10th, showing Mr. Turner assaulted Mr. Wallace in the home. Restraining order issued July 14th. Judge Henderson examined each document carefully, made more notes. Mr. Wallace, please take the stand. I walked to the witness box. The bailiff had me raise my right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Martin asked the basic questions. I answered each one directly. Yes, I owned the property. Yes, Della lived there month to month. Yes, I gave proper notice. Yes, she refused to leave. Ryder stood for cross-examination. Mr. Wallace, you allowed your daughter-in-law to live in your home for 5 years? Yes. At well below market rate? Correct. $300 instead of approximately $2,400. That suggests a family relationship, not a landlord-tenant relationship. It was both. I helped family. But the arrangement was always month to month. Yet you're throwing her out? I gave proper legal notice. She refused to leave. Judge Henderson intervened. Mr. Wallace, did you ever promise Miss Turner she could live there permanently? No, Your Honor. Did you have any written agreement beyond the monthly rent payment? No written agreement, just month to month. And these repair expenses she claims to have paid, did she? No, I paid for all repairs. I have invoices and bank statements proving it. Thank you. You may step down. Della took the stand next. Ryder led her through her story. She cried when mentioning Roy. Said I'd promised her the house was hers as long as she needed it. Claimed $15,000 in improvements, but couldn't explain where the receipts were. Martin's cross-examination was surgical. Ms. Turner, you claim you paid $15,000 for repairs? Yes. Can you provide a single receipt? A single canceled check? I didn't keep records like that. Your bank statements show any $15,000 withdrawals. It was over time. Yet you have no documentation whatsoever? No. Judge Henderson leaned forward. Ms. Turner, do you have any written agreement showing Mr. Wallace promised you permanent residency? No. It was verbal. Any witnesses to this alleged promise? Roy was there, but he's gone. Anyone else? No, Your Honor. Stewart took the stand briefly, could only testify to what Della had told him. Martin brought up the assault and restraining order. Stewart's credibility evaporated. Judge Henderson cut his testimony short. After closing arguments, Judge Henderson removed her reading glasses, set them on the bench, looked at Della, then at me. I've reviewed the evidence presented by both parties. Mr. Wallace has provided clear documentation of ownership and proper notice. Ms. Turner has provided no documentary evidence supporting her claims. Oral agreements regarding real property are generally unenforceable without corroboration. This is a straightforward case of a tenant refusing to vacate after proper notice. I'm granting the plaintiff's petition and issuing a writ of execution. She signed the document with a decisive stroke. Ms. Turner, you have 7 days to vacate the premises voluntarily. If you fail to do so, the sheriff will enforce this order. Court is adjourned. Outside in the hallway, Della argued with Ryder. Stewart paced, hands in pockets. Martin shook my hand. That went exactly as expected. 7 days. Then what? If they're not out by the 25th, sheriff handles it. I walked to my car slowly. The writ sat on the passenger seat, official court seal visible. 7 days for voluntary compliance, then enforcement. I knew Della wouldn't leave quietly. I pulled into traffic and drove home, already imagining what July 25th would look like. July 25th. 7 days exactly. I woke at 6 and marked the calendar. Sheriff, eviction day. The new locks sat on my desk, still in packaging. I'd install them the moment they left. Around 9:30, my phone buzzed. Text from the sheriff's office. Deputy en route. ETA 10 a.m. I made coffee. Heard Della and Stewart moving around upstairs. Doors opening and closing. Muted conversation. They knew today was coming. Had known for 7 days. But knowing and accepting are different things. At 10:10, I heard vehicles in the driveway. Watched from my office window as 2 sheriff's deputies emerged from separate cars. Official uniforms, equipment belts, professional demeanor. They walked to the front door. The knock was different from any normal knock. Authoritative, unyielding. Sheriff's office. We have a court order, Della answered. I heard her voice through the walls, high and panicked. What? No, we need more time. Ma'am, you were given 7 days. That time has expired. But we have nowhere to go. I understand, but we have a court order. You need to gather your belongings now. Stewart's voice, angry. This is ridiculous. You have 30 minutes. I suggest you start packing. Chaos erupted above me. Rapid footsteps. Drawers slamming. Closet doors banging. Della's voice making phone calls. Desperate. Pleading. Stewart's heavy footsteps. Angry muttering. I stayed in my office, door locked, listening to my house being dismantled. 20 minutes in, I heard items being carried downstairs. Front door opening repeatedly. Car doors. Trunk slamming. Stewart grunting with effort. More trips. Faster now as time ran short. Then Stewart's voice from outside, loud and directed at my window. You'll regret this, Wallace, a deputy responded immediately. Sir, you have a restraining order. Watch your distance. I'm at my truck. That's more than 150 feet. I remained at my window, silent, watching. This isn't over, Stewart shouted, loading boxes aggressively. The deputy's voice remained level. Sir, load your vehicle and leave. Now. More items carried out. Della making multiple trips, crying. Stewart's truck filling up. Della's car stuffed with bags, boxes, loose items. 30 minutes vanished quickly. A deputy knocked on my office door. Mr. Wallace? They've departed. Premises are clear. I opened the door, thanked him. He handed me an incident report number. You'll want to change your locks immediately. Already arranged. Locksmith is on his way. Good. Call if they return. That would be criminal trespass. The deputies drove away. I stood in the suddenly quiet house and took my first full breath in weeks. Then I started walking. Master bedroom first. The chaos stopped me in the doorway. Clothes scattered everywhere. Drawers left open. Broken ceramic lamp, base shattered deliberately. I photographed it. Red wine stain on the white carpet. Large, dark, fresh. Photographed that too. Furniture scratched deeply, as if someone had taken a key or knife to the wood. More photos. Guest room, hole punched in the wall, fist-sized. Bathroom, toiletries everywhere, mirror smudged. Living room, another broken item, this time a picture frame. Each room revealed new damage. I documented everything methodically, creating an inventory with my phone's camera. The locksmith arrived within the hour. Changed the front door lock, back door garage. Tested each one multiple times. Handed me the only set of keys. $450 for emergency service. Some of Della and Stewart's belongings remained on the lawn. Oregon law required me to store abandoned property for 30 days. I photographed the items, moved them to the garage temporarily. Would send formal notice about retrieval, covering myself legally. That evening I stood in the doorway of the master bedroom and surveyed what remained. The broken lamp in the trash, the wine stain covered with towels until professional cleaning, the scratched dresser waiting for repair, new locks on every door, every window open to summer air. I'd already emailed the damage photos to Martin. He'd file a civil claim. $3,800 in documented damages, plus 5 years of below-market rent. $2,100 monthly difference, totaling over $126,000. The numbers staggered me, but the house was quiet now. Their keys no longer worked. I walked through the living room, dining room, kitchen, every room mine again, empty of threats, empty of anger. I moved my clothes back into the master closet as the sun set. Each shirt, each pair of pants, reclaiming space Stewart had occupied. The guest room stood empty, my temporary refuge no longer needed. I stripped the bed Stewart had used, threw the sheets directly in the trash, put my own bedding on, my mattress, my room, my house. I set my alarm and turned off the light. Tomorrow I'd start real restoration, hire carpet cleaners, furniture repair, wall patching. Tonight I just needed to sleep in my own bed again, in my own room, in my own house. The calendar showed July 25th, circled and checked off. Next week Martin would file the civil suit. Another court date, more evidence. But that was future concern. Tonight I was home. 3 weeks after the eviction, I sat at my dining table with repair invoices spread across the surface. Carpet cleaning, $600. Furniture refinishing, $800. Wall repair and painting, $300. The broken lamp, minor fixes, professional cleaners, total, $3,800. But that wasn't the full cost. I opened a spreadsheet Martin had helped me create. Fair market rent for my house, $2,400 monthly. What Della actually paid, $300. Difference, $2,100 per month. For the last year alone, being conservative, I'd lost $25,200. My phone rang. Martin, I've tallied everything, $3,800 in repairs. And the rent differential? She paid $300 monthly. Fair market is $2,400. That's $2,100 per month you lost. How long do you want to claim? Just the last year. I don't want to seem greedy. 12 months at $2,100. That's $25,200. Plus the repairs and my fees, we're over $36,000. We can file for that. I have documentation for everything. Martin filed the civil complaint. August 5th. Property damage, unjust enrichment from below market rent, legal costs. Total, $36,800. The sheriff served Della 3 days later, hearing scheduled for August 15th. What if she doesn't show up? I asked Martin during our prep meeting. Then we get a default judgment, automatic win. That seems too easy. She was properly served. If she chooses not to defend herself, that's on her. And then what? How do I actually collect? Several options. Wage garnishment is most effective. They take it directly from her paycheck. 25%. Every month until the debt is paid. August 15th arrived. Martin and I sat at the plaintiff's table in a smaller courtroom than before. The defendant's table remained empty. 10 o'clock came and went. No Della, no attorney, no one. The judge, not Henderson this time, someone else, reviewed the file, asked the clerk to confirm service. Clerk verified, properly served August 8th. Mr. Wallace, you're claiming damages of $36,800? Yes, Your Honor. Repair costs, lost rental income, and legal fees. I see the defendant hasn't appeared. These invoices support the repair costs. The rental analysis seems reasonable. She made notes, signed a document. Default judgment is granted in the amount of $36,800. Just like that. In the hallway afterward, Martin explained the next steps. The judgment is now a lien, appears on her credit, blocks major financial transactions. Will she pay it? The garnishment ensures she will. Slowly, but steadily. How long? Based on her income, 4 to 5 years, roughly. 4 to 5 years, 54 months. Every paycheck reduced by 25%. $680 monthly sent directly to the court, then to me. Martin's investigator had located Della's employer, necessary for the garnishment order. The court approved it within days. Her employer received official notice. Begin withholding 25% of disposable income immediately. A week later, Martin called with an update. The garnishment is active. First payment should arrive by month's end. I hung up and walked through my house. The repairs were complete. New carpet section blended seamlessly. Furniture refinished, scratches invisible. Wall patched and painted. Every room restored. That afternoon, a young couple knocked on my door. Professors from Reed College, responding to my rental listing. Both had excellent references, stable employment, spotless credit. We talked for an hour. I showed them the property, explained expectations, handed them application forms. $2,200 monthly, I confirmed. First month, last month, and security deposit. Written lease, 1 year minimum. That's fair for this neighborhood, the husband said. I'll need references, credit check, employment verification, full background. The wife smiled. Professional landlord, we appreciate that. They signed the lease 3 days later. Move-in date, August 28th. Through casual conversation with a mutual acquaintance, I learned where Della and Stewart had landed. Small apartment near 82nd Avenue. $1,600 monthly, more than 5 times what she'd paid me. With the garnishment taking $680 from every paycheck, finances were reportedly tight. Stewart blamed Della. Della felt overwhelmed. Natural consequences. I didn't feel triumphant, didn't feel vindictive. I felt restored. Things were right again. She'd damaged my property, lived far below market rate, forced expensive legal action. Now she paid the actual costs. The system worked exactly as designed. Martin emailed the final summary. Case closed. Judgment entered. Garnishment active. Lien registered. Payments will come automatically. Judgment valid 10 years. Renewable if unpaid. 10 years. She'd be paying this into her 40s. I pulled out my drafting tools that evening, hadn't used them in months, spread architectural paper across my desk. The home office needed renovation. Better lighting, new shelving. I began sketching, losing myself in familiar creative work. The first garnishment payment would arrive soon. $680. The first of many. Not a fortune, but proof. Proof that boundaries mattered, that the law protected those who used it properly. That kindness without consequences was just enabling. I set down my pencil and looked around the office. My space, my house, my rules. Tomorrow, new tenants would move in. Professional people paying market rate under written agreements. Everything documented, everything proper. This time, I'd gotten it right from the beginning. August 28th, late summer morning, warm but not oppressive. I sat at my desk reviewing mail when I found the envelope from Multnomah County Court. Opened it. Check inside. $680. The first garnishment payment. First of approximately 54. I studied it for a moment. Not a large amount, but significant. Tangible proof that actions carried consequences. That justice, pursued properly, through legal channels, actually worked. I set it aside and walked through my house. The master bedroom looked better than it had in years. Fresh paint, clean carpet. My belongings arranged exactly how I wanted them. Down the hallway, past the repaired guest room wall, smooth now, hole invisible. Descended the stairs. Living room furniture refinished, no broken lamp. Kitchen spotless. Everything restored. At 10, the new tenants arrived. Young couple, both professors. I met them at the door with keys and final paperwork. Welcome, I'm Calvin Wallace, the owner. We're excited to be here, the wife said. The house is beautiful. Thank you. Here are your keys. This is your copy of the lease. The husband nodded. We reviewed everything. Year lease, 2200 monthly, utilities separate. Correct. First month and security deposit cleared, so you're all set. I showed them the circuit breaker, explained the garbage disposal, reviewed emergency contacts. Professional. Proper. The way landlord-tenant relationships should function. My number's on the lease if anything needs attention, I said. This is your home now. I'll respect your privacy. We appreciate a professional landlord, and I appreciate professional tenants. I left them to settle in, drove back to my place 3 miles away. The house I'd rented out was now generating $2,200 monthly. Market rate, fair for both parties. The house I lived in was paid off. Quiet, mine. That evening, my phone rang. A friend I hadn't spoken to in weeks. So it's really over? The house is rented again. New tenants moved in today. And Della? Paying what she owes, 25% of every paycheck. For years. For years. But that's not on me. That's on her choices. Do you feel vindicated? I considered the question. I feel restored. Like things are right again. Later, I sat in my home office with drafting paper spread before me, sketched plans for renovation, better lighting, built-in shelving, maybe a skylight. The mechanical pencil moved across the page with familiar precision. 30 years of architectural work, and I still found satisfaction in clean lines and practical design. My phone buzzed. Text from Martin. Garnishment processed successfully. Automatic from here. Congrats on closing the chapter. I set the phone down and returned to my sketches. The garnishment would continue for roughly 4.5 years. Every month, $680. Della would see it on every pay stub, a reminder of consequences, of accountability. Not my goal, but a necessary outcome. My goal had simply been to reclaim my house, to establish boundaries, to stop being walked over. Through the window, I could see late afternoon sun filtering through trees. Summer ending, fall approaching. The calendar showed August 28th. In 3 days, September would begin. But the conflict that had defined my summer was finished. I thought about Roy sometimes, my son. Wondered what he'd think of all this. Would he have wanted me to let Della stay indefinitely, paying almost nothing, taking advantage? No. Roy had been fair-minded. He'd have understood boundaries. Taking care of someone doesn't mean accepting abuse. Helping someone doesn't require sacrificing your own dignity. I'd helped Della. 5 years at $300 monthly instead of $2,400, saved her over $125,000 in rent. That was help. That was generosity. She mistook it for weakness, assumed it would continue forever, brought her father into my bedroom without asking, refused to leave when asked, lied in court about improvements she never paid for. Those were her choices. The garnishment, the judgment, the consequences, those resulted from her choices, not mine. I didn't feel vengeful, didn't feel triumphant. I felt at peace. The lesson was simple. Kindness is strength, but boundaries are necessary. Documentation protects everyone. The legal system used properly works, and standing up for yourself isn't cruelty, it's survival. I finished the preliminary sketch and set down my pencil. Tomorrow I'd begin the actual renovation work. New lighting fixtures to order, shelving materials to price, small improvements that would make this space truly mine. Outside, evening crickets began their chorus. The house settled into comfortable quiet. No tension, no anger, just peaceful silence. I walked to the master bedroom, my room again, and changed into comfortable clothes. Made dinner in my kitchen, ate at my table. Watched television in my living room. Normal activities, simple routines. Later, lying in bed with a book I'd been meaning to read for months, I allowed myself a moment of satisfaction. Not about Della's struggles, I took no pleasure in that, but about the restoration, the boundaries, the justice that came from following proper procedures. The garnishment would take years. The new tenants would hopefully stay longer. Life would continue with its usual complications. But this chapter, this specific conflict, was resolved. I'd learned something valuable. You can be kind without being a doormat, generous without being exploited, forgiving without being foolish. Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're clarity. I turned off the light and settled into my own bed, in my own room, in my own house. Tomorrow would bring new projects, new challenges, new opportunities. But tonight, I was home. Finally, truly home. And that was enough. If you liked this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.